It's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're lying in bed when suddenly your brain decides to replay that conversation from 6 years ago where you said something slightly awkward. Yeah, that one. And now you're dissecting every word, every pause, every facial expression the other person made, wondering if they still think about how weird you were that day. Spoiler alert, they don't even remember it happened. I didn't realize this for a long time, but this isn't just you being anxious or overthinking things. Although, well, let's be honest, it's definitely that, too. There's actually something much deeper going on in your brain when you replay conversations. And it has everything to do with how you see yourself and how desperately you're trying to control something that's already gone. See, most people think conversation replaying is about the other person. Like we're trying to figure out what they thought or what they meant or whether they secretly hate us now. But that's not really it. When you replay conversations in your head, you're not analyzing them. You're rewriting yourself. You're trying to become the version of you that said the perfect thing, had the perfect timing, made the perfect impression. And the reason that hurts so much is because you can't. That moment is frozen in time, and you're stuck with a version of yourself that existed in it. Think about the conversations you replay most often. I'm willing to bet they're not the ones where you said something horrible or offensive. They're the ones where you were just slightly off, a little too eager maybe, or you laughed at the wrong moment, or you stumbled over your words when you were trying to sound articulate. These tiny moments become massive in your mind because they represent something bigger than just a conversation. They represent proof that you're not who you want to be yet, and your brain is absolutely obsessed with this gap. Psychologists have found that we ruminate most when there's a disconnect between who we actually are and who we think we should be. So, every time you replay that awkward moment, you're not really trying to understand what happened. You're trying to close a gap that only exists in your own head, desperately rehearsing a version of yourself that never got to exist. Yet, here's the part where it gets intriguing and kind of sad if we're being honest. Every time you replay a conversation, you're not actually remembering what happened. Instead, you're recalling the last time you remembered it. The human memory does not function like a video, more like a story that gets edited every time you tell again. So that conversation you replayed a dozen times, you're no longer acting out the real deal. Instead, you're going over a warped version that has been polluted by your anxiety, your insecurities, and your fears of what people will think. Which means you're basically torturing yourself over something that didn't even happen the exact way you remember it. Let that sink in for a second. How you perceive that conversation in your mind right now probably feels worse than it actually was. You've exaggerated the uncomfortable moments, downplayed the regular ones, and probably made up the scenes in which the other person was supposedly critiquing you. The more you watch it, your mental image of the fictional version will start to become even more real, which means your brain is essentially gaslighting you with your own memories. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but I replay conversations to learn from them. I'm trying to improve myself for next time. And look, I get it. That sounds productive. That sounds like growth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. There's a massive difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection is when you think about a conversation, extract a lesson and move forward. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Rumination is when you think about a conversation, extract a lesson, forget the lesson, replay the conversation again, extract the same lesson, hate yourself, replay it again, and then wonder why you can't sleep. It's a loop, and loops don't take you anywhere. The people who replay conversations the most aren't the ones who care about growth. They're the ones who care about control. And I mean that in the gentlest way possible, because I've been there too. When you replay a conversation, you're trying to control how you're perceived. You're trying to control the narrative. You're trying to control the past, which is literally impossible. But your brain hasn't figured that out yet. It keeps trying anyway, convinced that if you just analyze it one more time, you'll find the key to rewriting history. There's something else happening here, too. Something that doesn't get talked about enough. When you replay conversations, you're practicing being someone you're not. You're rehearsing a version of yourself that's smoother, funnier, more confident, more likable. And every time you do this, you're reinforcing the belief that the real you, the one who actually showed up to that conversation, isn't good enough. That's the part that breaks my heart a little bit, because the version of you that's replaying the conversation is trying so hard to protect you, but it's actually doing the opposite. It's building a case against yourself, collecting evidence that you're somehow defective or fundamentally unworthy of connection. And here's what happens when you do this over and over. You start believing you need to be flawless to deserve kindness. You convince yourself that one stumble in conversation means you're fundamentally broken. Researchers have actually traced this pattern, finding that people who can't show themselves compassion get trapped in these mental loops, and those loops feed directly into anxiety. The less forgiving you are of your own humanness, the more your brain punishes you for it. It's like your brain becomes your own worst critic, and the courtroom never closes. The real tragedy of conversations replaying isn't you saying something awkward 6 years ago. It's you convinced yourself for 6 years that a single awkward moment defines you. It's that you've taken a single data point and turned it into your entire identity. That said, I want you to think about this. What if the conversations you replay most often aren't the ones that matter most? What happens if you can't stop thinking about them? Because in fact, they don't represent who you are. On some level, your brain is aware of this. It knows that the awkward version of you in that conversation isn't the whole story. It keeps trying to understand how this one moment fits in with everything else it knows about you. It's when your mind says, this doesn't fit. I need to look at it again. And perhaps, just maybe, the solution isn't to replay it better, but to stop letting one conversation have so much power over how you see yourself. Maybe it's recognizing that the mental energy you're spending on these replays could be going toward the people in front of you right now, toward the conversations you're having today that you'll actually remember tomorrow. Because here's the thing about conversations. They're moments, just moments. They're not prophecies about who you'll always be or evidence of some fundamental flaw in your character. They're just moments where you showed up as a human being, which means you were imperfect in trying and doing your best with whatever you had that day. And that's enough. That's always been enough. The person you were in that conversation was doing the best they could with the awareness they had at the time. They didn't have the benefit of hindsight or the luxury of a second take. So maybe it's time to stop pressing rewind. Maybe it's time to let those conversations stay in the past where they belong, imperfect and awkward and beautifully, painfully human. If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to support these deep dives, please hit that join button to become a channel member. I would genuinely appreciate your support. Here are some more videos that I think you'll resonate with. Same energy with a different angle. See you there. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon.